Alright guys, Dokkan time, and today we'll be doing a how to build for the AGL Krillin. Now this is a free to play unit, so you have no excuses not to have a full 100% unit. Now he has two build suggestions, so that my two suggestions are just going to be obviously to keep your expectations in check. This is a free to play unit, so you have two choices. You either build him for what he's going to be good at, or you build him for what you want him to work with. So if you want to take him into challenging, semi-hard, difficult content, such as red zones and so forth, I would highly suggest you just go for a full dodge build. That is pretty much the only way I would go about it. Just go full dodge. And then after that, I would probably suggest, if you want to take him into just free-to-play content, I would then just go ahead and give him full additional, and then put the rest into to dodge. So here's the thing. As you can see, I still have all dodge on him, and I have all dodge on him because even in free-to-play content, if you are not running a very highly specific team, you're just bringing him along to do random support, then he's just not going to perform as well. I mean, defensively, he's not amazing. He's really not. He's there to tank, do some damage for like the first couple turns. Actually, he's not here to tank at all. He's just here to do damage at the beginning of the fight and then support and be floated. I mean, he's a floating support unit. That's his main role. So, with that all being said, if you already know how you were going to build this guy, congrats. But this is just to help the new players out or anybody else. So, go ahead and look at his teams. He has 200% for these 5 units in the game. I would highly suggest that you choose Physical Gogeta or LR Orange Piccolo as the primary 200% leaders. Obviously, he is a Warriors Raised on Earth unit, so you could go ahead and use 23rd World Goku, but he'd only be 170. These are the only 200% for him currently. So he does greatly raise attack and defense on Super. He then also greatly lowers enemies' attack. Once again, that's fantastic for Super Battle Road and Battlefield content, and free-to-play content in general. He has an entrance animation where he gets an attack and defense boost of 180% for the rest of the battle and chance of performing a critical hit plus 82% for 3 turns from the start of turn when all allies are Super Class from the start of the character's entry turn. So as long as you have a full super class team, he'll always get these going off, and you'll have crit. Pretty much almost guaranteed crit for his first 2 appearances. Now he does also have attack and defense 150 when attacking. He can launch an additional super attack when facing 2 or more enemies. So very selective content there for getting that additional in. Warriors Raised on Earth category allies are key +2 attack and defense plus 20%. There's a lot of support units in the game that you could be taking along, and obviously it just really depends on what the team is, but I don't know if the key +2 attack and defense plus 20% is worth tagging him along. He does recover 20% HP and guards all attacks when all allies in the same turn are Warriors Raised on Earth. I've found that does very little. The HP regen, very nice. But I also felt like while I tested him out, that the recovery is similar in vein to Yajirobe. I love Yajirobe. Yajirobe's cool. But a lot of the time, his HP regen that he gets at like the end of the turn is more than likely regaining HP that you lost because of him. And I think that's the same thing with this Krillin, is like you're recovering 20% HP. But that's 20% HP you could have not lost altogether if you just chose a better unit to bring along. So, moving on, he does have a 50% chance to dodge, and Warriors Raised on Earth category allies attack and defense plus 20%. In addition, when your team has an ally whose name includes Goku attacking in the same turn, or starting from the 5th turn. Now, it's because I was using private things. But that 5th turn didn't seem to proc correctly, or it doesn't, or it's regardless, and you still always have to have a Goku, or I just didn't really feel the boost for whatever reason. But yeah, I mean, the dodge chance just rarely, if ever, went off for me. I mean, it's a coin flip at the end of the day, you know. 50% is 50% chance. And as far as the support goes, the support could be a lot. It could be very little. It just really depends on the unit. Some units you feel the support. Some units you don't really feel the support. That's about it. I would like to go look at his defense calculations over with Halvard. As you can see, with a Goku ally, with the intro, he can, be defense of 500k post super, which isn't bad. Post double super is only 669. That's not a lot. It's very low. That's a very low defense number for a double super. You're pretty much guaranteed to not be tanking anything. Like, he will die in any serious form of content. So my highest suggestion would be to just go ahead and make sure that you give him full dodge. If you really want the additionals, for a free-to-play content, go ahead and just give him the full additional and put the rest for dodge if you so wish. But I wouldn't even waste the skill orbs on giving him more additional, because the additionals just aren't mattering that much. The likelihood that you're gonna triple is so very little. I could not fathom. I just couldn't see it happening. If you went in, let's just say you go into Super Battle Road. All Super Battle Road contents are hitting you with 1 million supers. 1 million. So if you double super, you're only taking like 300k. If you triple super, you're taking about 150, 180, about almost 200k. Now, I mind you, 100k is a lot. 100k is a lot. I mean, I'm not gonna diss that. But at the same time, I'd say it's negligible. And for a Super Battle Road team, usually you don't have you don't have stupidly high numbers. You have like 500, 600k HP at most. You're never going above that usually, unless you just have a full team of LRs magically. And if you take him into an extreme Super Battle Road where super attacks are all 1.2 million, if not higher, like 1.3 even potentially, he's just gonna die. You're gonna die if he gets hit. So even in the hardest free-to-play-esque kind of content like Super Battle Road, where he can take advantage of lowering the attack, take advantage of stunning and sealing and everything, he can still get caught. Because he does have a pretty low defense margin. And the likelihood is that you're never going to more than double super. You could potentially triple, but I just don't think it'll happen very often. And when you take him into actual difficult content like Red Zone, you'll almost never see him additional, because most Red Zone fights don't have the 2 or more enemies at all points of time. It's usually like the first phase or the second phase, and then that's it. And then you move on to the actual tough parts of the fight where they do absurd amounts of damage, and this Krillin just isn't cutting it in that kind of content. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a pretty good free-to-play unit. I've been dogging on him this whole time, but it's just to remind y'all, this is not a unit you're just going to bring into Red Zone. Treat him like a free-to-play unit. Build him like a free-to-play unit. And just give him, what you think is best. Personally, when I get this unit on Global, I'm just going to do exactly what I have on the screen here, and I'm just going to give him full dodge, and I'll maybe give him 9 additional instead. Like, maybe I'll just take 1 node instead of putting it with 3 dodge. I'll give him 3 additional to a total of 12 dodge and 9 additional. But I just don't feel like the additional will matter that much. I just don't feel like it would in the content that I would be taking him into. Regardless, he's a support unit that needs to dodge and to be floated. He's not meant to stay on rotation. This is a unit that you're just going to put in the slot 3. He's going to support for the turn, and then he's going to bounce. And that's it. But with that greatly lowering, you can at least take him into Super Battle Road content and so forth. But that's going to be it. I've already dragged this out probably way too long. I apologize. But this free-to-play Krillin, there's a lot of Krillin units. He doesn't have any good link partners. I feel like that was another thing I really wanted to bring up here. Unless you have this magical physical R Krillin that is no longer obtainable, I mind you. I mean, that's the most he's ever going to get out of links. You're never going to run him with this Vegeta Krillin. You're never going to run him with the TUR of the LR Master Roshi. You could be running him with the Great Saiyamans. You could, because Warriors Raised on Earth. He's a support unit, so I mean, you could definitely be taking him on those free-to-play events like I was talking about earlier. You could even potentially take him, with this young youth Krillin. You could definitely do that. But once again, he's going in for straight-up 100% free-to-play content. If you really wanted to try and roll with him on a hard, like, red zone or something, I would highly suggest you just bring the Patrol Police Krillin in 18 from 9th Anniversary and just hope one of them's full dodging in slot 1, and then you can try and utilize them that way. That is the best bang for your buck unit because they'll be supporting him while he's supporting them. It's just the double support. With linked up to them, I managed to get his damage up to like 5 million plus. But it wasn't very consistent. It's just, he doesn't do damage. He's not meant to do damage. He is meant to support, and that is it. He is a support unit, so treat him as such. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good day and a good night.